Is there a strategy that'll help you grow your company faster? CEO Sales Strategies is an investigative business podcast for entrepreneurial people who never stop asking questions. Highly acclaimed sales revenue growth expert Doug C. Brown interviews CEOs, business owners, and professionals who serve them to uncover and share actionable tips and methods behind their bulletproof sales strategies. Topics covered on the show include their failures, struggles, secrets, and processes that help them succeed in selling millions to billions of dollars of their products and services, all with the sole aim of helping you grow your business. If you are eager to know the most effective sales secrets from the A players of the game, then the CEO Sales Strategies podcast is certainly the place to be.
Hey, this is Doug C. Brown with another great episode of the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. And I have Ugis Balmaks, who's going to come on in a minute. He owns a company called Recruiter Mill. Now, Recruiter Mill is a company that focuses on hiring top producing talent for companies, and they do it differently. I mean, firstly, they're not hyper-focused on sales recruitment. So I wanted to bring them on because, a lot of times we'll talk about sales strategies and how to do sales recruiting, but also you need operational talent, you need sales support talent, you need all kinds of different talent within your company to grow your company. And it is a growth strategy. Hiring is a growth strategy if you look at it right. And we're going to talk about exactly that, how it is a hiring process is a growth strategy, but how you should really look at recruiting non-salespeople the same way you would recruit any salesperson. And you want to look at this as a sales process. You have leads and you have to do certain things around those leads in order to hire, attract, and bring in the right talent. So we're going to talk a lot about how do you attract the right client? What's the mindset you should have on and around hiring? When you should hire, when you should not hire, and when you shouldn't be in a rush to do it, and how to do it right, and how to put a system and process around the whole systematic process of hiring. And whether you should be doing it yourself or whether you should not be doing it yourself and why. So without further ado, let's go. This gentleman's very smart, very articulate. Let's go to the interview. Ugis, welcome to the call. I appreciate you being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on.
So folks, he's the founder of a company called Recruiter Mill, and they do a fantastic job hiring talent. And normally we talk about sales talent on this call because a lot of people are like, hey, I want to hire a salesperson, but I wanted to have a specialized, more outside sales conversation on around how to hire talent, because talent also supports the sales team as well as the rest of the company. So let's jump right in. I loved the topics we were talking about here, So why do you think people are not attracting the right candidates for hiring?
Oh, I mean, there could be so many reasons, but the first one that jumps to mind is that people are not actually approaching recruitment as sales, and especially your audience, if they're into sales, that they should understand that. For some reason, so many business owners don't get it, because when you're in sales, you need leads. And when you're in recruitment, you also need leads. You need to nurture them and kind of, get them ready to convert. Same thing in recruitment. You need to actually convert them, make your pitch and close them. Same thing in recruitment. And then you also have post-sales activities. And in the case of recruitment would be onboarding, everything else. And, when you have a lead coming in and you want to sell to them, most businesses, they jump on it and they're really proactive about it, and they make sure they do their absolute best job. For some reason, they don't always do it for people that are coming in. But in my mind, who you have on your company is so much more important than what you do or anything else, really, because that's going to ultimately determine your success. So in a way, it baffles me, but that's why we're here talking about it. But I think that's the number one reason where people don't realize it's a major function of their business that they need to approach as seriously as they approach sales.
Yeah, I see a lot of companies, especially the mid-sized companies or the smaller companies, especially when they want to recruit. It's kind of like, I got to do this, right? it versus like, whoa, this is going to really help my business, go to the next level. They know that intellectually, but emotionally, I see them going into that spin of, oh, this is just another laborious process.
Exactly. And it reminds me of maybe my favorite client ever. And he bootstrapped his company within 6 or 7 years to 8 figures in revenue. And he's doing an absolutely amazing job. And whenever he has any budget left, he's always hiring because he knows that in the long term, it's the best investment he can make for his business. And whenever he has budget, he's doing it. And late last year, he said, I'm so sorry, I'm maxed out. I would love to hire more. And as soon as we get some budget, we're going to do it again. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's so successful with his company.
But the reality is you've built over 7 figures and you're hiring people now for other people and recruiting them. And what I heard was people are not really, when they're doing this on their own, they're not really treating this as a sales process. They're kind of treating it as an aftermarket thought that they know they got to do something. It's kind of like your taxes. You got to do it. You got to pay attention to the finance, but it's like, I got to do that. Versus looking at this as, hey, this is probably one of the top 3 most important things that I can be doing in my company is finding and retaining top talent. So why do you think that they're not attracting the right candidates? Is it because of the mindset around that, or what might it be?
I would think so. I mean, the perception, and I had this perception for the longest time. It's like, as you just said, it's this necessary evil and something I have to do, but I have no clue how to do it. And I was couldn't figure out, how to find those people. And whenever I did find someone, it wasn't like I was in love with them. I was thinking, okay, I'll take this person, but it's not what I really want. And it just takes a lot of time to figure out. And a lot of people are discouraged by this kind of upfront difficulty, and they don't put in their reps. And luckily for me, I had to go through it to build my own business. And now after 6-7 years, I'm at a stage where I can help other people. But for the first at least 3 years, I wasn't really I didn't really know what I was doing. And I remember being on my first interview, thinking, oh, what do I ask this person? Just asking things that I've heard other people ask on job interviews, not knowing what the purpose was, and thinking to myself, oh yeah, this is kind of stupid. I'm not learning anything. So yeah, I mean, it's just hard, and people are discouraged by hard things, but they need to go through those to build their business.
So do you think part of it is also they don't really have a system for doing this? I mean, it's kind of like, I know when I look at people's ads, for example, when they're trying to hire a top producing salesperson, and I look at their ad and I'm like, this is not going to attract that type of individual. Right. So in non-sales candidates, I'm going to make the assumption, I haven't hired them as you have. I mean, I've hired certain people, but not like you have. So is it the same thing? It's like, you've got to write the right ad to attract the right person. You've got to have the right steps in the process.
It's the same exact thing. Like, you wouldn't create a product and just think to yourself, yeah, I really hope some dream prospects show up and they take me up on my product. That's just never going to happen. So why would the same thing happen in recruitment? And what you said about system is exactly right. If you have a system that you follow, some sort of process, it makes everything so much easier, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You can just follow the steps. Even if you make some sort of mistake somewhere, at least you have the system to rely back on that's going to pick you up eventually. And you can fix the mistake later on, but you have something that's getting you there eventually. So yeah, system is a huge reason as well.
Okay, so I'm going to play business owner for a second, because we all are. And it's like, oh no, I got to put together a system. I don't even know how to put together a system. Like, I don't, I just don't know how to do it. What would you say? Hey, or should just I outsource it to somebody like your company, right? I mean, when's
you may. I mean, that's why my business exists. Because when I was when I sold my previous business, I was kind of thinking to myself, what do I even want to do? And I was just helping my friends with recruitment and kind of consulting them, even doing some interviews for them. And my intention was only to show them this is how you do it. It's not that hard. And then after that interview, my friend, also a business owner, he said, okay, this was awesome. I just wish there was someone like you that could do it for me. So that's definitely one path. You can always do that. The other path, you have to educate yourself. You have to put in the reps. And if a quick tip for people who want to go this education route, the first place I'd start is read the book called Who. It's by Jeff Smart. It lays out kind of the perfect foundation, and it gives you actually a system that you can follow. And then once you implement that, you're going to start realizing, okay, there's so much more to know, but at least you have this sort of foundation. So if people want to do it themselves, that's where I'd start.
We're speaking with Ugis Balmaks. I got the name right,
That's
correct?
right.
All right. So from Recruiter Mill. And what's the URL if people want to check you out?
It's recruitermill.com.
That's very easy. Even I can go there and do that. So I love what we're talking about, because, a lot of times when I'm looking, because I help people, find salespeople as well, not recruitment, but I teach them how to do it. Right. And the reason I brought up system is because they typically don't have a system. They typically don't know what type of questions to ask. And I find they make it way more complex than it's supposed to. Do you find that outside the sales recruitment side?
Absolutely. And I just keep connecting back to sales, but you wouldn't ask your customer to do things they don't need to do to buy your product. So why would you ask that from a candidate? The thing is that, once you make a sale, usually that's kind of not necessarily the end of the relationship, but, that's the main result has been achieved from many businesses' perspective, at least. In recruitment, it's a little different. You can make really big mistakes. So I think that's why people do it when they're not certain. They'd rather do an extra thing just to be sure.
Right.
Not the worst idea in the world, if we're being honest. But the other thing you need to take into account is that you are converting leads. So if you're not being efficient about it, then you're just going to lose out, and every extra thing you introduce is going to kind of drag you down.
Yeah. And so I love that about you are converting leads, right? Because the other thing that I think sometimes we're going to go into a little more of the mindset, but sometimes I think people get this idea like, hey, I'm going to hire a top producer, especially in the sales side. I can tell you this happens. And I'm going to put them through all kinds of hoops and things and jump through and everything else. I don't really have a system, but I'm going to kind of make it up on the fly, and I'll drag this out, a month. Right.
Right.
And I tell them, look, do you think you're the only company they're interviewing with? Yeah.
I mean, today I was helping someone in Miami, and they have an agency, and I'm not going to say the position, but they were looking for a certain position. And they had 8 candidates apply, not a lot. If you go on Indeed.com, just one resource, there are 76 jobs in Miami for the same exact post. So if they're not doing something special, how are they going to get these top producers that everyone wants? Right. But how are you going to get them if you don't have anything special? So yeah, I mean, and that's the kind of first thing I encourage people to think about. Why would it be a good idea for them to even join you? So how can you present what you have and also set up what you have in a way that a top producer actually wants to be there? They have everything they need, that they can help your business grow.
And I love what you just said, because so many people don't think of the second part. How do you set up what they need in your business in order for them to actually be successful and for them to stay? Because top producers, they have a certain, I'll call it mindset, right? And I'll relate it more to the sales side. And I want you to correct me if it's wrong on the other side, if I'm wrong on the other side, but I'm assuming it's the same. It's like they want to come in and be productive right away. They and if there's obstacles and stuff, and you tell them up front that there's obstacles, then they're okay with it. But if they come into an organization and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be selling, I can't sell. It's going to take me 3 months to do what I need to do in 1 month. And, I'm not productive like that. Yeah. they're going to start looking around again immediately. And they already had 5 interviews before they talked to the other person.
Exactly.
Is it the same way?
So yeah, absolutely. So I'm a pretty big basketball fan. So let's say the two of us have a team. I'm the point guard, you're the center, and we're asking, let's say, Ray Allen to join our team, one of the best shooters of all time, or Steph Curry. Why would he join us? That doesn't make any sense. He doesn't have any interest in joining us, but that's what people expect to get. But they have me playing point guard. It's ludicrous.
So I love this. Let's go down the basketball line, right? Because our team is going to pay that person way more money. So that's what's going to get him here. Is that true really when it comes down to it, right? Is our team going to, so if we pay way more money to this person, does that guarantee our success? And I can tell you in sales, no. So how about?
No, of course not. I mean, there are so many things that motivate different people. And yes, a big number can motivate you for a short time. But I mean, at the end of the day, when we have our kind of basic needs met, we're looking for self-actualization, something, a place where we belong, where we're doing a really good job. And just providing this huge number, it's not going to be enough.
So what I'm finding in the research that I do and the people I'm speaking with, it's really more a combination of quality of life and financial incentive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people realize that it's not all about money. Like they spend most of their waking hours, or at least half of their waking hours, working. So, it's half of their life, or at least awake life. So why wouldn't they also look at everything else besides money? It only makes sense.
And I will tell people that I definitely know this. The older somebody gets, the more they look at that.
For sure.
The reason behind that is they're looking at it like, okay, you know what? I've been through the battle. I've been through this. I've got through life's hurdles, whatever. I'm on the other side of it, right? Even if now they're in their 45-ish type bracket and up, a lot of times their children are going to either be, going to college, or they might have that, might have that done. They might not have that done. But the reality is they're starting to question, why am I here? Why am I, what am I supposed to do? And unfortunately, sometimes even in that age bracket, some of their peers or friends have passed away. So they're starting to go, okay, I'm starting to get into the last 40%, or the last third. Do I really want to deal with X, Y, and Z anymore? And the answers usually are no.
And many people who are top performers, they have all the different opportunities, and they can always compare them. Often they realize it even sooner, because they're like, why would I go to this place? Probably pays about the same, but it's just so much, the experience is so much worse.
Right. Right. And, so the reason I wanted to bring that up is because people who are listening to this and listening to you, it's like, I think that's going to be a light bulb that goes off in their head. Like, oh, really? It's not just about money. Cause I know in sales, a lot of times that they'll just like, you can make, $500,000 in compensation. You can do this, you could do that, you could do that. And they're looking at it and going, yeah, I'd rather take 350 versus 500 and see my kids and see my grandkids and be able to, not be working 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. Or, hey, I'll take that 500 and I can do that on the lifestyle that I'm looking for. Right. Then the more money starts to attract them.
Yeah. At the same time, I mean, if that's how you've set up your company, there are probably more people who believe in the same kind of values and same sort of approach. And if you can find more of them, why not? And that's the kind of beautiful thing about recruitment, that almost everybody who's a professional, they're on LinkedIn, and you can search LinkedIn for free. If you pay them a small fee, you can search it even better. And you can find those people, and they want to be identified because they want opportunities. And even if they have some sort of beliefs that maybe we don't share, but they share maybe with the business owner, you can always find them and approach them, and they do great on your team.
So I like that, because it's really about more like, we talk about ideal client, going after the right company, but then we talk about going after the ideal buyer. Right. So what you're speaking about is going after the ideal buyer, and do they fit in the culture of how the owner or company wants their clientele to actually experience. So it's all part of the customer's journey, really, when it goes along to it, right?
Again, just from an example from today, I was interviewing someone for an executive post, and he was talking about an experience where he was working 12 to 16 hours per day, and he absolutely loved it, and he was surrounded by other workaholics, and they had the time of their life. So it really depends on the person.
We're speaking with Ugis Balmaks, and he owns a company called Recruiter Mill. And we're talking about recruiting, and we're talking about gathering people in your company as how it is a great resource, and how do you attract those right candidates? And I want to move toward the mindset. Like, what is the mindset for hiring really when it comes down to what are the kind of the do's and the don'ts when it comes around mindset?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is, and I used to do this, and I think it was an awful mistake, kind of thinking that, okay, whoever applies, that's what I'm working with. I'm trying to select the best person out of that pool, and that's totally wrong. You are setting up your entire funnel. You can choose who comes into it. You don't have to pick the first person. You can always wait, and everyone has heard this, but it's so true. It's so much better to wait for the right person, and maybe don't have someone in that role even for a few months, than to grab someone just because you think you need someone. So this kind of, I call it scarcity mindset, where you think, okay, this is all I'm working with, so that's what I'm going to do. No, you're a business owner. You have so much power to set everything up, to look for those people. If you live in a small town, or as I did, my city was 600,000 people. It's not a huge job market. We just opened up our company to remote work, and that was way before COVID, because we realized, okay, we definitely want to work with the best people. We can't get enough of them here. That's just by, based on numbers. So we, rather than working with these 600,000 people, we work with 8 billion people across the world. And that was our solution to that problem. But whatever problem you're facing, you can solve it. And what I mentioned earlier about LinkedIn, it's fully searchable. You can approach any people on the world, and if you have a good offer for them, usually they're going to reply.
So this is an interesting, I'll call it paradox, because we just talked about your client in Miami, right? They only had, 80 something positions were open in Miami, but there's only, so many candidates. And now we're saying, but if you're, make sure you have the right fit, just don't go out and hire too quickly.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine some people sitting there going, okay, I'm a little confused. We're in a, we're now, this is 2022. We're in a tight job market. I can't find people. I've got to hire anybody. Don't I? I just need warm bodies.
Well, I mean, if that's how it is, and it can be in certain situations, if you're in production or something similar, where you really do need someone in the company at all times, sure. But I would imagine most of your listeners are in the knowledge economy, where you can work around things and figure them out and set them up in a way that works for you. And then it makes absolutely no sense to make a warm body, because now you're, instead of working with nothing, you're working with something that's dragging you down. You're making it worse for yourself. So why would you ever do that? So to, I guess, explain what I was saying previously, that step one, and it's, now the parallel is investing. Investing, the rule number one is don't lose money. In recruitment, rule number one is don't make a bad hire. So that's what I was trying to say with waiting. But if you know how to do it, you have so many options to find awesome people. If it's not in your city, then across the world.
I love that, because it's like, this is really about getting into a good relationship or a bad relationship. So right. if we take it and look at it like a marriage, nobody goes, oh yeah, you know what, I'm just going to rush. Well, some people do, but I'm rushing into this because of whatever reason. And those are usually not working out too well.
If you look at the statistics, most likely they aren't. And it's funny that you mentioned marriage, because when I started dating my wife, I kind of put her through my recruitment process, and so she did. So did she for me. So yeah, I'm a true believer.
That's funny. I can't wait to talk with her. And the reason I bring the marriage thing up, because a lot of people realize like, okay, if you get out of a marriage, it's expensive most of the time when you dissolve that type of relationship. It's ridiculously expensive to the company if they don't hire the right person and they have to dissolve it. So, stats are all over the place, but, it could be, up to 150, 250% of base salary sometimes, depending on the position for turnover.
Yeah, the research is out there and you're definitely in the ballpark. It's so expensive. It's just ridiculous.
I find people reach when they just don't have enough leads. And I loved what you said in the beginning about sales, right? Compare this to sales. I teach, many times I'll teach companies or their sales teams, listen, it's not that you have a closing problem. You don't have enough leads to be able to qualify or not qualify. That's really the issue.
Right. And once again, and, I'm bringing up more calls I had today, but I was talking to a different person and they're looking for someone in sales, a senior person that can, for the consulting business, both bring in the clients and also work with them. So basically a partner. So someone really senior, and they were kind of thinking, how can we find this person? It's a big problem for us. And I asked them, so how many people have you reached out to that match your criteria? And they said, well, about 10. And I was like, oh, geez, I'm going to reach out to 50 every week until we find someone. And the first week, we're going to learn all the things not to do. And then maybe by week 4, we're going to finally find a person that we're really going for. But you can't just reach out to 10 people and hope that, you're going to find the one. That's just not good math.
I was just talking with somebody on sales on the same exact subject matter. And I'm like, how many people have you reached out to? And they said 3. I said 3 per hour, 3 per, right? And they're like, no, 3 per week.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm like, are these like super like high end, $150 million deals or no? Why do you think it's not working? That was my question.
Right.
So in recruitment of any type, even if you get 10 people, doesn't mean you're going to have 10 candidates.
Yeah.
Right? You have 10. They're coming in the door, just like original lead flow. So out of 10 people, how many do you think they're actually going to be able to talk with?
So kind of, I haven't done the exact statistics. I would say about half the people respond to outreach. And then out of that, maybe half are actually interested to get on a call, learn more, and talk to me. So yeah, but still, if it's around 25%, it kind of matches my intuition that at any given moment, there may be 25% of the people who are not fully satisfied with their work situation.
Right.
And that's what you're working with. You want to be reaching out to those people and making sure. And then, of course, there are extra things that come into way where it's now not the best time. Maybe your company is not the right fit. Maybe the position isn't exactly right for them. But yeah, that's what you're working with, that someone's unsatisfied in this moment. So you're kind of tap into this many times emotional state where they're kind of fed up. They want to change things up. And that's when you make an offer.
I think what you just said for people here is gold. I'm not sure they'll catch it, so I'm going to say it. Just because you touch base with somebody right now and they're not interested now, it does not mean that 6 months from now, or even 5 months or 3 months or whatever, even a year from now, they're not going to be in a different position. So what I see a mistake in people recruiting, especially in sales, is they do not have a follow-up process to stay in touch with those that they contacted today, because they're looking for, hey, I got to pick the apple off the tree right now, right? That's what I'm looking for. But the reality is that people's lives change. Right. And if you just stayed in touch, not you, but them, the people who are not doing this, that you will find that a percentage. I remember doing a study one time, and I validated it through a few studies of Marketo and HubSpot and things like on leads. So leads coming in online, and you had an online business, so you would maybe know this as well. Mm-hmm. But leads coming in online, it showed that an incoming lead online, that 62% of those leads on average would close. But it takes up to a year to actually close all 62%. Right. And it was almost static, like a little over 4.5 to 5.5% per month will close if you stay in touch with them.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the first time you ask, your odds are the best. But the only way to improve your odds is keep asking. You're not going to hurt your odds by asking again.
Yeah, absolutely. And guess what, folks? Those people also know people who have life's challenges and changes. So if you work the network, then your recruiting cost actually goes down because you're getting referrals for free at that point.
Absolutely.
So Ugis, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I imagine there's some people saying, okay, I don't want to do this myself.
Right.
I really need a high quality company and person to, people to do this for me. How do they get a hold of you? What's the steps?
So yeah, I mean, and this past half an hour or so, we've been talking about kind of the theory and the mindset and all those things, and it's helpful. But in any given situation, the most helpful thing is to look at the practical details and how it is in your case. So what I offer people is if they go to recruitermill.com and they can book a call with me, and we go through their entire situation. So I'll kind of walk them through how I see their current status of their recruitment, and give them my strategy, how I do things differently. Do it completely free of charge. If they want to work with me later on, I'm happy to. Either way, I'm happy to chat with them. So recruitermill.com, book a call with me. You can shoot me a message, whatever's easier for you.
Great, folks. Again, that's recruitermill.com, and I'll put all of this into the show notes for you. If you're looking to hire somebody, high quality individuals, and you're really looking to do it right, get a hold of Ugis and get a hold of his team, and they'll help you out. Again, I appreciate you being here, sharing your wisdom, and I'll look forward to having you on a future call with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, was that great or what? I love talking to this gentleman because he's very articulate and very intentional in his process on recruiting. And what I love about what he talks about, and you could see this was a major theme throughout the recruiting process, was it is a sales process. You want to treat it as a sales process because you're not just hiring somebody to fill a warm body, you're hiring somebody for high productivity. And if you look at it as a sales process of identifying the right ideal buyer, if you will, in sales, which would be that ideal person. In recruitment, you're looking for the same thing, for the ideal fit of your company. It is a perfect match in heaven. So you look at this as it's part of the customer journey as you go along. So who do you want interfacing with your people, or even your operational systems of the people who are never interfacing with people, but creating things that will affect the buying decision of your potential buyers. And that's everybody in your company. And so that's why I brought him on, because he's an expert in doing so. And so just like in sales, you've got to have ample amount of leads, consistent leads. You've got to be able to have great conversations. You've got to be able to qualify or not qualify that. You want to be able to have the ability to not make a decision in haste, but make a decision at the right time. And, understand that following up with people over time is also an excellent strategy, because people's lives change and top producers have options to go to different places. So if you like this episode, do me a favor, go up and subscribe to this podcast. I would really appreciate it. Give it a glowing review if you feel that it should have that. I would appreciate that as well. If you have any questions or comments on either this content or any other content on how to get your company into the 1% of all companies globally in sales, or your people into the top 1% globally, reach out to me at either doug@businesssuccessfactors.com, DougBrown1234@gmail, or, check it out at businesssuccessfactors.com. And those of you who are listening, we're actually going to be having a little bit of a name change on the company. We're actually going to be changing it from Business Success Factors, in the Business Success Company, to the CEO Sales Strategies Company. So look forward to that. And again, my name's Doug Brown. Again, let me know how you think about, this podcast. Was it good? Was it bad? Et cetera, et cetera. Give me feedback. And give me feedback on what you want a future podcast, because I'll be happy to do those on those subject matter. Until next time, go out, sell some stuff. In fact, go out and sell a lot of stuff and sell it profitably and to your success.